good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of Diversity in Education. I am your host, Stephanie Fenelon, from the beautiful island of St. Lucia, and with me are some vibrant teachers. From Trinidad and Tobago, we have Kelisha Pompey, Kenya Benson, and Kimani Bruce. From Jamaica, Rosalie Wood and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have Melinda John. Our topic tonight is the impact of cultural competence in education. Now, I know you are wondering what it means, but according to NACI 2019, cultural competence in education involves understanding, respecting, and appropriately responding to the cultural diversity within the student population. It means that educators, leaders, government, etc., must be able to recognize their own cultural beliefs and understand and appreciate that of the students, and in turn, create an inclusive and effective learning environment that includes the type of materials used, engaging families, and instructions. Why? To enhance learning, build self-esteem, and promote equity. Tonight, we are going to focus on Canada for global context. On a regional perspective, we are going to highlight Trinidad and Tobago, and nationally, we are going to center it on Jamaica. At the end, we are going to share with you the main points and share the implications for our own practices. Now, on a global scale, Ms. Kelisha, please share with us how Canada's education system ensures that all children get equal opportunities to showcase their culture.
The Canadian government is implementing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This includes harmony, conversation, closing the gap, and restoration. Canada's action in education is aiming to integrate Indigenous knowledge and perspectives to the education system. This is part of the reconciliation process that emphasizes on the importance of the cultural competence in early education to promote understanding and respect for Indigenous cultures among your children. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, Ms. Kenya, please enlighten us on some of the plans that the Canadian government has put in place to ensure learning.
The Canadian government policy prioritizes multicultural education, integrating ethnic diversity among students. This policy, allied with the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, calls to action, reflecting a commitment to cultural competence in upholding Bill C-35, an act representing the early learning and childcare in Canada, ensure the upholding of the multicultural early learning and childcare framework and Indigenous early learning framework. These frameworks lay the groundwork for government to collaborate on a shared long-term vision in which all children may benefit from the stimulating environment of quality early learning and childcare, allowing them to develop to their full potential. There are also local commentary groups that focus on the Indigenous Committee. Thanks for having me, Stephanie.
Wonderful. Now, perspective. As I visited Trinidad and Tobago, what I realized is that there is a great disparity among the different cultural diversity of children. At present, Trinidad and Tobago there are hundreds of families, children, migrants, especially from Venezuela, who are unable to attend school. As a result, the learning is limited because they have to go through a long process. According to the TT Live News online, we realize that there is also a language barrier in the school, which makes the teachers unable to cater to those students. So now, let us hear from Ms. Kenya. In the education system of Trinidad and Tobago, would you say that they are ready for those children? Tell us some more.
There are efforts being made to enforce cultural transformation in schools and the community. The Ministry of Education would have drafted a policy for cultural transformation through curriculum enhancement, whereas the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts would have also created the National Cultural Policy of Trinidad and Tobago. As stated in the National Cultural Policy of Trinidad and Tobago, it is important to have an indigenous account on your country's history as it allows for the growth of the nation. The policy for cultural transformation through curriculum enhancements, on the other hand, states that it is important to have annual career days starting from the early levels of Infants 1. It is also important to have community-based influences. Therefore, relationships with the community and parents or families are important to further improve cultural diversity, transformation, and awareness in the education field. Back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Now, wagwan, Miss Melinda. Please share with us some political views right now in Jamaica when it comes to language. How does it affect learning? And what is happening?
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Cultural Language Education Policy of Jamaica 2001, Section 6.1 states that Jamaica is considered a bilingual society with two main forms of language being the Jamaican Creole and the Standard Jamaican English. The Standard Jamaican English is the official language and is used in formal setting. And it is the language of a small minority of the population, whereas the Jamaican Creole is the language of the majority of the population, but it has little status and it is not accepted in formal setting. And it is commonly referred to as patois. In 1993 CARICOM conference, the ministers responsible for education and culture were expected to ensure that by the age of 10, children are competent in the use of the official language, which is the Jamaican Standard Language, because as mentioned before, the majority of the population spoke the Creole. However, both languages should be recognized as equally acceptable.
Thank you so much. And Miss Sherwood, would you agree? Please tell us some more and tell us what is happening in the various schools.
Sure. Now, the local communities and the media voices gave vital insight and understanding the underlying culture dynamics in the Jamaican school. Now, these include social media platform, newspaper, radio shows to discuss cultural practices and educational issues. The picture on the slide shows the different schools that usually come together for the cultural educational programs which encourage and exploring the various topics included in the lives of the national heroes and iconic figures who serve as source of inspiration and valuable lessons for today's students. Back to you, Ms. Stephanie.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So there is indeed a lot happening to ensure cultural competence is a wonderful tool in our schools. Can you please summarize for us, Ms. Felicia?
To ensure the impact of cultural competence in education, integration of languages into schools policies must represent each child's uniqueness. To foster a dynamic learning environment, leaders must ensure that all children are valued and respected. National, regional, and global leaders must collaborate to implement diverse programs that represent diverse perspectives. Educators must demonstrate cultural competence through the enhancement of their teaching methods and curriculum content. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, we are going to share our implications for our own practice. For me, I must ensure that my instructions cater to the different children in my classroom, especially migrant students such as Venezuelans and Muslims. How about you, Melinda and Rosalie?
Okay, for Rosalie and myself, as teachers in St. Vincent and Jamaica, we accept that both languages, the Creole and the Standard English, are equally valid and should be used when appropriate.
Kenya?
As a student teacher in a multicultural country, I have learned to respect and celebrate the culture and traditions of others.
How about you, Kimani?
I believe that I must be able to adapt to the different cultures present in my country to make me a more efficient practitioner.
And Ms. Kalisha?
I believe that I must create regional and global connections with different teachers to design an all-inclusive curriculum that will equally represent each child's background and uniqueness.
And there you have it. Tune in again next Wednesday for our new program.